Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, what am I doing here? You're probably asking. Well, that's a good question. So, I thought, since you're waiting for the documentaries to drop, I'd create some content to keep you guys occupied. So I thought, well, I really like The Sopranos. I watched it 8 or 9 times over. Great show. And I thought, well, why not do some reviews on The Sopranos? So my idea is this. I'm going to go through each and every episode of The Sopranos. I'm going to take a scene, I'm going to break that scene down. I'm going to talk about the characters, the plot lines, and how it kind of relates to the real mob life, you know? So yeah, join me on this journey. We're going to crack on. So we're going to talk about Series 1, Episode 1. This is the pilot episode. So, let's crack on. So what's it about? The Sopranos. It's about a guy called Tony Soprano, and he's a mafia guy. He's a New Jersey mafia captain, quite high ranking, and it tells the story of his life. His life with his mob friends, his crew, and his family, his wife, his children, etc. And things aren't going so well for Tony. He's feeling the stresses of life. Things aren't going so well with his family. Things are not going so well in mafia land. And he's having these panic attacks. So he decides to go to see a therapist. And he divulges a lot of stuff to his therapist and how he's feeling and all that sort of stuff. But obviously his crew don't know that he's seeing a therapist. This is an absolute no-no in the life. If you're talking to anyone but your own guys, you're in a lot of trouble. So that's just something that wouldn't be divulged in real mob life. You just wouldn't tell anyone that. In fact, kind of comparing that to reality, Frank Costello actually saw a therapist for a while, but I'm sure he didn't tell his mob mates about it. So yeah. So the scene that I decided to pick is a scene where his friends are gathered around a barbecue. It's Anthony Jr.'s birthday party, who's Tony's son, and Artie's talking about his restaurant burning down. Why is his restaurant burnt down? Very sinister, right? Well, Tony burnt down his restaurant. Why would Tony burn down his friend's restaurant? Really weird. But there's a story to it. So, Tony's uncle, Uncle Junior, who is also a member of the New Jersey Mafia, he wants to whack one of the guys in his crew. And he wants to do it at Artie's restaurant. Tony hears about this plan and he confronts Junior. He says, look, can't you do the hit somewhere else? This is my friend's restaurant. You're going to ruin his livelihood. Do it someplace else. And Uncle Junior comes back and says, no, we're going to do it there. The guy feels safe there. We can get it done. It'll be done there. So Tony moves to plan B. He tries to offer Artie a trip, a cruise, to get out of town. He'll close the restaurant and then he'll have to go down somewhere else. But Artie declines, politely declines. His wife doesn't really like mob business going on in the restaurant. Tony's connections with Artie, she doesn't like it, so she asks Artie to decline the offer. So then Tony goes to extreme measures. He decides to blow up or torch Artie's restaurant, so the hit will have to go down somewhere else. And we join the scene here where Artie's frustrated about his restaurant burning down, obviously, clearly frustrated. And yeah, let's check it out.
And to see your life's dream burned down.
Look at it this way, you collect the insurance, that's all.
Arthur, you gotta say to yourself, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
How could it have been worse? Fucking faulty stove.
Suppose people stop coming to the restaurant. You ever think of that?
I don't know. I don't know what the fuck.
That's really true. I mean, like, you know, what if people stop coming to the restaurant? I mean, there is no insurance for that, as Tony rightly says in a moment. But that was Christopher, and Christopher's kind of Tony's nephew. Technically not his nephew, he's actually Carmilla's nephew. Carmilla is Tony's wife. And he's a little bit upset. We'll get into that later. But yeah, these are Tony's guys around him, and they're a bunch of yes men, as you'll find out in a second.
He's right about that. There's no insurance for that.
But why would people stop coming to the restaurant? It's just starting to catch on.
Know what I'm figuring out lately? Talking helps.
That's right. That's right, he's right.
Talking helps, right? I mean, that's a clear reference to his meeting with his therapist. Yeah. And I'm sure Mr. Tony is using this therapy stuff on his mob friends.
Hope comes in many forms.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Hope comes in many forms. That's a clear rip-off from what Dr. Melfi told him. He's just using the same lines with his crew. And look at the crew. They're just a bunch of yes men. Silvio there, he was like, yeah, he's right. They're just a bunch of yes men. They'll just say anything to appease Tony. And you see the dynamics of the crew there. You know, they'll do whatever Tony asks. You know, they won't confront Tony with anything because they're pretty scared of Tony. Tony's quite an imposing character, and obviously they want to keep on his good side. So you can see the kind of dynamics there. You know.
Oh, jeez, here, hold this. Come on. Artie, come on. Hey. Hey, look at me. Look at me. I'll always help you. Come on. Come on.
I'll always help you. I mean, like, you can see that the relationship between Arti and Tony is very genuine. Tony actually really likes Arti. He's a childhood friend, and they're very close. But, you know, how close can you get to someone like Tony Soprano? I mean, you know, he'll ask you for a favour, and maybe another favour, and it could end up being like a slippery slope, you know? How close can you get to someone like that, you know? But I think Tony does respect the boundaries. Artie's a civilian. He doesn't want to get involved in any of this stuff. So he respects that in Artie, and he doesn't ask him to do any illegal stuff and mafia business and all that. So yeah, that's quite an interesting picture of how Tony is with his childhood friends, his civilian friends, compared to his mob guys. You know, he likes that power and control, and that's what really drives Tony, I think. You know, power, control. He's got an ego, clearly.
Go cook. Hey, let him cook. You'll feel better. Go ahead. Hey, someday I'll tell him we torched the restaurant. It's the best solution. Enough of this shit. What's wrong with you?
You know, a simple way to go, Chris, on the Triborough Towers contract would have been nice. That's it.
You're right. You're right. I have no defense. That's how I was parented. Never supported. Never complimented.
You know, my cousin Gregory's girlfriend is what they call a development girl out in Hollywood, right?
It's really interesting, isn't it? I mean, I love the way this scene, this part of the scene starts. He asked Christopher, what's up? Because he knows Christopher is quite moody, and it clearly shows. So he asked for a pat on the back for the Triborough Towers hit, a piece of work that Christopher did on Tony's orders, and he got it done, and he did the job well. And obviously he's asking for Tony's approval, and that's kind of the theme of Christopher. He seeks approval. He wants to be validated, you know. And I love Tony's response. He uses that silence of thinking about what Christopher's just said to him and processing it. And actually he's very empathetic. He's really, in his response, he's really caring, and he actually listens, and he's like, yeah, you know, that's how I was parented. And, you know, he had tough parents, you know. So it's really interesting how Tony's actually shows a really caring side to himself. But obviously you'll see in a moment that doesn't last for long.
She said I could sell my life story, make fucking millions. I didn't do that. I stuck it out with you.
I'll fucking kill you. What are you gonna do, go Henry Hill on me now? How many mobsters are selling screenplays and screwing everything up?
She said I could maybe even play myself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting, isn't it? I mean, that clearly shows that Tony is a sociopath. He can be chatting with you pleasantly 1 second. He could really be showing how caring and sensitive he is to someone else's feelings, and then all of a sudden he'll drop on a dime. You know, his mood will switch and he'll get very aggressive, you know, as he throws Christopher up against a wall. You're gonna go all Henry Hill on me now, and that's a clear reference to Goodfellas. You know, Henry Hill obviously, you know, testified against the mob, his former associates. And I gotta say this, you would never say in the mob to your peers that, yeah, I'm thinking about writing a book. You'd be considered a rat in the life, you know. It's a kind of a rat move. Not my words, but that's what they would think. You would probably end up in a trunk if you said that to someone in the mob, you know. They just don't like people talking about their business outside of the mob circle. So yeah, it's really strange how they kept that in. It's something really that a mob person wouldn't do, you know, because yeah, it's kind of a rat move. Actually, in the original script, Tony wasn't going to flip out like that, but he kind of improvised and kind of did it in his way, and yeah, they just kind of stuck with it because it just really works, and it shows that you the dimensions of Tony as a character.
Forget Hollywood screenplays. Forget those distractions. Huh? What do you think I have in that office? We got work to do. New avenues. Everything's gonna be all right from here on in. Come on. Look, it's a beautiful day.
And it's really interesting, you know, he promises that, you know, there's bigger and better things, you know, to keep him on the hook, you know, to keep feeding him, because he knows that Christopher is a useful bit of manpower, you know, he can get things done. So, you know, he's got to appease him to some level. But yeah, it's really interesting. Also, the reference to Goodfellas, we all know that Michael Imperioli plays a character called Spider in Goodfellas, and he ends up getting shot in the foot and later getting shot properly and ends up being killed. And you see that scene play out in later episodes. It's really interesting. So we can see little references to the Goodfellas, and obviously the whole show is actually got echoes of Goodfellas, because you see a lot of characters from the Goodfellas. Tony Sirico, who plays Paulie Walnuts, Goodfellas. Beansy, he was in Goodfellas. Lorraine Bracco, obviously, who plays Dr. Melfi, plays Henry Hill's wife in Goodfellas. So yeah, lots of references to Goodfellas in the show, which is great, because Goodfellas is a great movie. But there we have it, guys. Season 1, Episode 1. And I gotta be honest with you, I didn't really like it. I didn't really like the episode. I just... Clearly there was enough to hook me because I watched the whole thing. But I think what it is automatically when you watch something mafia related or mob related, you watch it, you're automatically comparing it to things like Goodfellas, Godfather, Bronx Tale, Casino, all those great movies. And when it's not quite stacking up, you kind of think, well, it's not so great. But you know what? I'm so glad that I continued watching the show, because it is a fantastic piece of film work. It really is. It tells a story of this guy, and it tells a story about life. You know, it's not just a mob show. It's got so many dynamics to it. Tony's character has got so many dimensions, and it's just really interesting how it all plays out. His relationship with certain people, his wife, his kids, and yeah, it's just really interesting. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We're going to go on to all the other episodes of season 1 and beyond. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you did like this episode, the channel or whatever, hit a like, subscribe, drop a comment. It'd be great to hear from you, what you're thinking. What did you like about the pilot episode of Sopranos? What do you think about the show? Who are your favourite characters? Yeah, let me know. It'd be great to hear from you. Anyway guys, that's enough from me. I'll see you next time.